Megan and Johanna from Travelers Paranormal, and we are going to be giving a presentation today about making the paranormal normal. What are the steps we take when we're in an investigation to make sure that we are ruling out what has a natural explanation and really understanding what does it mean to be paranormal.
So first we're going to look at the etymology of the word paranormal, and it is an adjective. It comes from the Greek preposition para, meaning beside, near, issuing from, against, or contrary to. And it comes from Latin normalis, meaning in conformity with rule, or norma, made according to a carpenter's square. It's an adjective circa 1500, normal meaning typical or common. And para being partnered with normal dates to circa 1905, denoting events of phenomena that are beyond the scope of normal scientific understanding. A lot of people also obviously talk about supernatural. Super is above the normal, basically. And then also, when you're talking about space, talk about UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena.
So what are we talking about when we talk about the paranormal? We're talking about something that is unexplained, and often when something is unexplained or unknown to us, it becomes scary, right? Scary ghost stories, scary phenomenon, things we don't understand. What people will usually do is they will search for an explanation, and if we don't have one in science, a lot of times we find it in folklore. We find that the ancients gave different explanations for the things that they were experiencing and seeing to make it less scary, because by giving it an explanation, they take some power over it. Now they understand it, now they know why it's happening, and in many instances they can figure out a way of combating it, fighting it, or just living in peace with it, however that's going to be. But that explanation part, it takes away some of the fear, it takes away some of the senselessness of it, and lets them understand it.
It's really important to give humankind agency in situations where especially you don't have all the understanding. And just etymologically, mankind is from Homo sapiens. Homo is from Latin meaning man, and sapiens means it's the present active participle of sapio, to be capable of discerning. And so our end as a species is to know, basically.
It's Robert Penn Warren in All the King's Men, who has that scene where the character is thinking to himself about opening an envelope and needing to know what is inside of it. And we've seen how that has shown its way throughout all of human history. We want to know more, we want to see more, we want to explore more, we want to understand more. And like you said, that gets to human beings being a being that thinks. Has a lot of ties into philosophy.
So what we're going to use is several different examples of when we were able, as a species, again, mankind, was able to make the paranormal normal. And the first thing we're going to look at is solar eclipse. And so there's a lot of cultures who have different explanations for this natural event. If they didn't understand what exactly was happening with the movement of these celestial bodies, they came up with another reason. And so, for example, in Norse myth, there are two wolves known as Skoll, who chases the moon, and Hati, who chases the sun. And during an eclipse, the belief was that the wolf had caught up with their prey and begun eating it. And so Vikings would yell to scare away the wolves and allow the moon or the sun to get away. And if they did not do their job well enough, that would be the start or a sign of Ragnarok coming. And so again, it gives a cause, these wolves that are chasing these bodies, and it gives agency. Again, it gives something you can do to make it stop and make it go away, so that it's not as scary because you have some kind of power.
What's the actual explanation to an eclipse, though? What is the science of the eclipse? For the Norse, as Megan said, it was the wolves chasing the sun and moon and catching up to it. But we know now that it is actually the movement at just the exact right ratio, at just the exact right time, where the sun and the moon is completely blocking out the sun. So, we now understand through scientific explanation what was happening, because we have the telescopes and we have the ability and we have the mathematics to trace what exactly is happening. that the ancients didn't have. And just so we know what we're talking about when we talk about eclipses, a solar eclipse means that the moon has come between the sun and the earth. A lunar eclipse is when the earth comes between the sun and the moon. And if somehow the sun is in between the moon and the earth, that would be known as the apocalypse.
So the next example that we're going to talk about is the singing sand in Wisconsin and Michigan that is around Lake Superior. And if you've ever listened to the song Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, which is an excellent song, he referenced in it that Lake Superior sings. And so we were looking up why he would say that, and there's two potential reasons. One is that the ice moving on Lake Superior, because it is so cold, when the ice is moving, it lets off a sound that can be interpreted as probably more like wailing. Or it could be that when you walked into the sand makes a noise that sounds like either barking or singing. And so the story behind this, for both of them, is that a woman lost her lover to the lake, and she stands on the shore and she cried and called and sang for him to return, and now the sand and the lake repeat back her cries.
And that's a story that goes through Native American cultures to today, to the kind of sailor life that is around that lake. So why does the sand sing? Or this barking noise, or whatever we want to call it? Well, approximately 5 to 10% of beaches have this phenomenon. In our video, it's hard to hear. We had stopped several times around Lake Superior trying to find it. And the actual best spot to hear the singing sand is on an island kind of off of Wisconsin. But you have to take a boat to go there, and we really didn't have the time. But the sand on those beaches are mostly made of quartz, and unlike other beaches where the sand is kind of a wide variety of sizes, it's more uniform in size. And so the sound that we're hearing is the sound hitting and rubbing against each other, and it makes this squeaking or barking sound. So, what do? We take this kind of wondering, seeking to understand, and we apply it to investigations, right? Our first reaction when something happens, something unexplained, something strange happens, we want to make an explanation for it. And when we're on a paranormal investigation, our first thought is going to be like, we have some sort of connection, we are speaking to somebody. But we've got to do our due diligence and make sure that we are searching for all the different possible explanations for what this is, right? The singing sand, the story of a lost lover, for the eclipse, the story of the two wolves, they served their purpose. They gave that explanation of it. They gave some agency. We just want to make sure that if we're going to give a story behind something, behind what we're finding in an investigation, that we're ruling out everything that we possibly can. So we're going to give some explanation or some examples of investigations that we've done in the past, and kind of what we have done to rule out those instances, and say, okay, no, this is not paranormal. And again, we're going to do that because if I'm going to put out something and I say that this is evidence of the paranormal, I want to make sure that I've done my due diligence to take everything away from it. So this first example is from the Thomas house in Red Boiling Springs. We were staying in room 39, which has a story of a bathroom door that will lock on its own, where someone will come in the middle of the night and try and open the door, and it's locked, and nobody in the room locked it, and there's nobody in the bathroom. And so we were really interested in this. We wanted to see if we could repeat it. We wanted to see if it would happen to us. We go into the room, and we tried the door, and it did lock on its own, and we're like, oh my goodness. But we discovered that by opening the door all the way, it's a little push button on the back of it, and it lines up with the wall, So if you open it, it won't happen every single time, but if you open it all the way, there's a chance that push button gets locked, and when you close the door, it's going to seem like somebody is playing a prank on you and has blocked the door. And you'll see in the video that we do it once, then we try the door again, that time it didn't happen. So it's not always going to happen, but for me, it's not going to be proof of the paranormal because I know I can replicate it. So here we are at Thomas House. Megan and I are going to be spending the night in room 39. Nice cozy room. I love the quilts. Show the room around a little bit. Now, one of the reports of this room is that the bathroom door locks itself. However, it's unlocked right now. We've discovered that if you open the door all the way, oh, that time it didn't do it, of course. It will lock. That little knob right there will hit the wall and lock. So it may lock itself, or it may just be opening the door too much. The next example we're going to give is from a house in Springfield, Tennessee called the Walton House. We were upstairs in the upstairs bedroom. Megan was in a far back corner of the room. We had the S-Box going. We were doing an Estes Method S-Box session. And Megan, had on her noise canceling headphones. She's listening to the S-Box. I'm sitting at the other side of the room asking questions and trying to see if we can get any interactions. All of a sudden, Megan takes off the headphones and she says, "Did somebody just walk past me?" She just felt as if somebody had come up to her and walked away. You're going to see in the video, she's by herself. There's nobody near her. And it took us a few moments to try and look around, figure out what had happened. And we discovered that a floorboard behind me, I should say, all the way in the hall, when that was walked on, Megan felt movement and pressure next to her. It's probably just some sort of floor support that runs from there to over close to her where she was sitting. Probably if we had little motion sensing devices, like the little plastic cat balls that you see that light up, if we had them in that spot, there's a good chance that they could go off if somebody was walking out the hall, right? Original reaction, oh my gosh, it just seemed like someone is walking up to me. Is that a ghost? Is this the paranormal? Or we do our due diligence and we find that normal explanation for it.
Did someone just walk near me?
Nobody's been near. Someone did come into the room and then left.
I felt like the floor here bounced.
Let me walk near the door. So he was over here.
Like I expected someone to have just...
You feel anything?
Important. Yes.
Okay.
So you stepping over there, I really feel it literally.
Yeah. So he was right here. He just walked out of the room.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's definitely it. So good to know. The floor there. So it's like we had a REM pod or cat balls here.
Someone walking over here could be activating them.
off.
So time and time again, we see people discussing whether or not the paranormal field is a scientific field or not. The answer is, it's simple. If you apply a scientific approach, you can make it a scientific field. If you are searching for answers and explanations of what's being reported and experienced in any location you go, and you're being diligent about it, then you're going to rule out those normal explanations, and that's going to leave you with a better body of evidence. You're going to rule out the normal, the mundane, and just have what is truly left and what is the paranormal. And I think that's what we try and do when we're on our investigations. We're seeking out the paranormal. We want to make sure that we are doing our due diligence and finding every possible explanation that we can for what we're experiencing before we say, yes, I think this was paranormal.
And the same thing goes, so it's not just making the paranormal normal as in debunking and finding what the normal explanation is or the scientific explanation is for what's happening. It's also that drive to know, like you mentioned, the opening the envelope, solving riddles, and the more that we can come to understand, again, going back to Homo sapiens, the more that we can come to understand the world around us, the normal and the paranormal, the more we can be recognized as a scientific community, if as much or as little as we want, but we can give it the due diligence and the seriousness of the subjects that we're handling in order to make sure that we are looking into it.
And obviously we believe in the paranormal. I'm not making this video or giving this talk because I don't believe in the paranormal and I think that everything can be debunked. I just want to make sure that we're doing the work to make sure that what we have left is that actual paranormal that we don't have an explanation for. And here's the thing about people in the paranormal field, or a message to people in the paranormal field. At some point, when you run into people who don't believe it, you're going to have to just let them be. I know that there is nothing I will ever find, there is no evidence that I will ever find in any of my investigations that is going to convince somebody that doesn't want to believe in the paranormal, that will convince them to believe in it. But I have to know that with honesty and integrity, I've ruled out everything I possibly can, so that when I say this is a piece of evidence of the paranormal, I mean that I've already searched for every explanation that I can, and I believe that this is actually what I'm putting out there as paranormal. And if someone is not going to believe it, and I'm going into this because when we gave this presentation, this was one of the questions. If someone's not going to believe in it, it's okay. You are not going to convince everybody. There's nothing, there are some people that there's nothing you can do that is going to convince them of the truth. Just know that you've done the right thing, do that work, and be proud of the work that you're putting out there.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.